Parables in the Book of Mark. Parable of new cloth on old garment, Mark 2 verses 21 to 22. 21 No one sews a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, or else the patch shrinks and the new tears away from the old, and a worse hole is made. 22 No one puts new wine into old wineskins, or else the new wine will burst the skins, and the wine pours out, and the skins will be destroyed, but they put new wine into fresh wineskins. Parable of the divided kingdom, Mark 3 verses 23 to 27. 23 He summoned them and said to them in parables, How can Satan cast out Satan? 24 If a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. 25 If a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. 26 If Satan has risen up against himself, and is divided, he can't stand, but has an end. 27 But no one can enter into the house of the strong man to plunder unless he first binds the strong man, then he will plunder his house. Parable of the sower, Mark 4 verses 1 to 20. For again he began to teach by the seaside. A great multitude was gathered to him, so that he entered into a boat in the sea, and sat down. All the multitude were on the land by the sea. 2 He taught them many things in parables, and told them in his teaching. 3 Listen. Behold, the farmer went out to sow. 4 And as he sowed, some seed fell by the road, and the birds came and devoured it. 5 Others fell on the rocky ground, where it had little soil, and immediately it sprang up, because it had no depth of soil. 6 When the sun had risen, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away. 7 Others fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up, and choked it, and it yielded no fruit. 8 Others fell into the good ground, and yielded fruit, growing up and increasing. Some produced 30 times, some 60 times, and some 100 times as much. 9 He said, Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. 10 When he was alone, those who were around him with the 12 asked him about the parables. 11 He said to them, To you is given the mystery of God's kingdom, but to those who are outside, all things are done in parables. 12 That are seeing they may see, and not perceive, and hearing they may hear, and not understand, lest perhaps they should turn again, and their sins should be forgiven them. Isaiah 6 verses 9 to 10. 13 He said to them, Don't you understand this parable? How will you understand all of the parables? 14 The farmer sows the word. 15 The ones by the road are the ones where the word is sown, and when they have heard, immediately Satan comes, and takes away the word which has been sown in them. 16 These in the same way are those who are sown on the rocky places, who, when they have heard the word, immediately receive it with joy. 17 They have no root in themselves, but are short-lived. When oppression or persecution arises because of the word, immediately they stumble. 18 Others are those who are sown among the thorns. These are those who have heard the word. 19 And the cares of this age, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lusts of other things entering in choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. 20 Those which were sown on the good ground are those who hear the word, and accept it, and bear fruit, some 30 times, some 60 times, and some 100 times. Parable of the lamp, Mark 4 verses 21 to 25. 21 He said to them, Is the lamp brought to be put under a basket, or under a bed? Isn't it put on a stand? 22 For there is nothing hidden, except that it should be made known, neither was anything made secret, but that it should come to light. 23 If any man has ears to hear, let him hear. 24 He said to them, Take heed what you hear. With whatever measure you measure, it will be measured to you, and more will be given to you who hear. 25 For whoever has, to him more will be given, and he who doesn't have, even that which he has will be taken away from him. Parable of the growing seed, Mark 4 verses 26 to 29. 26 He said, God's kingdom is as if a man should cast seed on the earth. 27 And should sleep and rise night and day, and the seed should spring up and grow, though he doesn't know how. 28 For the earth bears fruit by itself, first the blade, then the ear, then the full grain in the ear. 29 But when the fruit is ripe, immediately he puts in the sickle, because the harvest has come. Parable of the mustard seed, Mark 4 verses 30 to 34. 30 He said, How will we liken God's kingdom? Or with what parable will we illustrate it? 31 It's like a grain of mustard seed, which, when it is sown in the earth, though it is less than all the seeds that are on the earth, 32 Yet when it is sown, grows up, and becomes greater than all the herbs, and puts out great branches, so that the birds of the sky can lodge under its shadow. 33 With many such parables he spoke the word to them, as they were able to hear it. 34 Without a parable he didn't speak to them, but privately to his own disciples he explained everything. Parable of the heart of man, Mark 7 verses 14 to 23. 14 He called all the multitude to himself, and said to them, Hear me, all of you, and understand. 15 There is nothing from outside of the man, that going into him can defile him, but the things which proceed out of the man are those that defile the man. 16 If anyone has ears to hear, let him hear. 17 When he had entered into a house away from the multitude, his disciples asked him about the parable. 18 He said to them, Are you also without understanding? Don't you perceive that whatever goes into the man from outside can't defile him? 19 Because it doesn't go into his heart, but into his stomach, then into the latrine, making all foods clean? 20 He said, That which proceeds out of the man, that defiles the man. 21 For from within, out of the hearts of men, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, sexual sins, murders, thefts, 22 Covetings, wickedness, deceit, lustful desires, and evil eye, blasphemy, pride, and foolishness. 23 All these evil things come from within, and defile the man. Parable of the budding fig tree, Mark 13 verses 28 to 33. 28 Now from the fig tree, learn this parable. When the branch has now become tender, and produces its leaves, you know that the summer is near. 29 Even so you also, when you see these things coming to pass, know that it is near, at the doors. 30 Most certainly I say to you, this generation, will not pass away until all these things happen. 31 Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. 32 But of that day or that hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. 33 Watch, keep alert, and pray, for you don't know when the time is. Parable of faithful versus wicked servant, Mark 13 verses 34 to 37. 34 It is like a man, traveling to another country, having left his house, and given authority to his servants, and to each one his work, and also commanded the doorkeeper to keep watch. 35 Watch therefore, for you don't know when the Lord of the house is coming, whether at evening, or at midnight, or when the rooster crows, or in the morning. 36 Lest coming suddenly he might find you sleeping. 37 What I tell you, I tell all, watch.